A torrential downpour battered the tall windows of Sweet Moments Cafe in downtown Portland, turning the cozy street into a shimmering blur of gray and silver. Inside, 7 flickering candles bravely fought the dim afternoon gloom, their tiny flames reflecting like lonely stars in the wide, sorrowful brown eyes of Elena Chun. She sat motionless in her wheelchair at the center of what should have been the happiest table in the city. Today was her 7th birthday, and the cafe was heartbreakingly empty. Her father, Richard Chun, the driven CEO of Chun Pharmaceuticals, paced near the far wall, phone pressed to his ear, voice low and sharp as he barked orders about quarterly projections and shareholder calls. He had spared no expense. The entire cafe rented exclusively for her. A towering custom cake dripping with edible gold and fresh orchids. A professional photographer waiting discreetly in the corner with his expensive lenses. Colorful balloons bobbing against the ceiling like forgotten promises. Everything money could buy, except the one thing Elena craved more than air: friends. The invitations had gone out weeks earlier to every child in her class at Riverside Elementary. Polite regrets trickled back: soccer tournaments, family trips, vague scheduling conflicts. Some families never replied at all. Elena understood the silence better than any adult ever admitted. They didn't want their normal children playing with the girl in the wheelchair. The different girl. The girl whose legs had stopped working 3 years ago after the screech of tires, shattering glass, and the deafening quiet that followed when her mother never woke up again. That crash had stolen more than mobility. It had stolen laughter from their home. Richard buried himself in boardrooms and balance sheets, transforming grief into a billion-dollar empire while Elena learned to maneuver ramps, narrow doorways, and a world designed without her in mind. Now she stared at the melting candles, the frosting slowly sliding, and felt the ache of being invisible even on her own special day. The little brass bell above the door jingled suddenly, cutting through the patter of rain. Elena lifted her head. A man in a weathered brown leather jacket stepped inside, rain streaming from his shoulders, gently tugging along a small girl who clutched his hand. The girl, about Elena's age, wore faded denim overalls over a cheerful striped shirt, her blonde hair tied in slightly lopsided pigtails that dripped onto the floor. Both looked drenched, cheeks flushed from the cold. The cafe manager hurried over, apologetic. "I'm so sorry, sir, but we're closed for a private event today." The man scanned the room, the deserted tables, the untouched streamers, the solitary girl beside the extravagant cake, and offered a tired but warm smile. "We were just trying to duck out of the storm for a few minutes. Maybe warm up with some hot chocolate, if it's not too much trouble." "I'm afraid not," the manager began. "It's okay," Elena's soft voice rang out, surprisingly steady. Every head turned. She looked straight at her father, eyes pleading. "They can stay, Dad. Please." Richard lowered the phone slowly. He studied the strangers, the man's scuffed boots, the jacket patched at the elbows, the little girl's clothes that had clearly seen many washes and many adventures. They were ordinary in a way that clashed with the polished world Richard usually inhabited. Yet when his gaze shifted to Elena, he saw a spark he hadn't witnessed in years. Hope, fragile and bright. "Of course," he said, voice gentler than it had been in months. "Please, come in. We have more cake than we know what to do with." The girl, Chloe, didn't hesitate. She released her father's hand and marched straight to Elena's table, eyes wide with genuine delight as she took in the glittering cake. Her dad followed more slowly, offering a sheepish nod. "Hi," Chloe said simply, climbing onto the chair beside Elena as though they'd known each other forever. "I'm Chloe. Is this your birthday?" Elena nodded, suddenly shy. "Yes, I'm 7. Me too." "Well, I will be in 3 weeks." Chloe beamed, freckles dancing across her nose. "Wow, this cake is incredible. Way prettier than the box mix ones my dad makes." "No offense, Dad." The man chuckled, rubbing the back of his neck. "None taken. I'm David Morrison, by the way. And yeah, baking isn't my superpower." He glanced at Elena with kind, steady eyes. "Mind if we crash your party for a bit?" Chloe didn't wait for formal permission. She leaned closer to Elena. "I hate eating cake by myself." "Do you?" Elena's throat tightened. Tears pricked hot behind her eyes. No one had ever asked her that before. No one had ever sat beside her so naturally, without staring, without pity, without awkward pauses. "No," she whispered. "I don't like it either." "Then it's settled," Chloe declared. She looked at the adults. "Should we sing Happy Birthday?" Before anyone could answer, her clear, fearless voice launched into the song. David joined in, cheerfully off-key. Richard, stunned, rusty, found his own baritone blending in, the notes surprising even him. And Elena? For the first time that day, a real, radiant smile broke across her face. When the song ended, Chloe leaned over to help her blow out the candles. "What did you wish for?" Chloe asked, eyes sparkling with mischief. "You're not supposed to tell, or it won't come true," Elena said, still smiling. "That's okay. I think I can guess anyway." Chloe grinned wider. "You wished for a friend." Elena's breath hitched. "How did you know?" "Because that's what I'd wish for too," Chloe said matter-of-factly, swinging her legs. "We just moved here from Sacramento. I don't know anybody yet." As the girls dove into easy chatter, favorite colors, purple, obviously, best cartoons, dream pets, David and Richard drifted into their own quiet conversation at the edge of the table. Richard learned David was a single dad and a physical therapist who'd relocated for a better position at Oregon Health and Science University. His wife had lost her battle with cancer when Chloe was only 3. "I'm sorry," Richard murmured. David nodded. "I'm sorry too. I heard about your wife." "And Elena was in the car?" "Yes." Richard's voice cracked. "She survived. But sometimes the guilt, it pushes me to work harder, earn more, build something unbreakable. Like, if I can just make enough, I can somehow undo what I couldn't prevent. Money doesn't heal that kind of hurt," David said softly. "I tried the same thing. Extra shifts, overtime, telling myself I was building security for Chloe. Until one day her teacher called me in. Chloe had asked why Daddy didn't love her anymore." Richard felt the words like a fist to the chest. "I stopped," David continued. "Quit the extra hours. Started eating dinner together, reading stories, just being there. She didn't need a provider. She needed her dad." Richard looked across at the girls, heads bent together, giggling over frosting-smeared fingers. Chloe hadn't once glanced curiously at the wheelchair. To her, Elena was simply a girl who loved chocolate cake and purple balloons. "Elena goes to Riverside Elementary," Richard said suddenly. David's eyebrows rose. "That's where we just enrolled Chloe." A quiet possibility bloomed between them. "Would you and Chloe maybe come for dinner sometime?" Richard asked, the words feeling foreign and vulnerable on his tongue. Elena could use a friend. And honestly, so could I. David's smile was warm and immediate. "We'd love that." The next hour unfolded like magic. Chloe invented ridiculous party games on the spot. Musical chairs with dramatic slow-motion falls, a pretend fashion show using napkins as capes. Cake was devoured, laughter echoed off the walls, and the hired photographer captured something far more valuable than posed perfection: authentic, messy joy. When the rain finally eased to a drizzle, David and Chloe prepared to leave. "Thank you," Elena said, voice thick with emotion as she looked at Chloe. "This was the best birthday ever." "Really? Even though nobody else came?" "That's why it was the best," Elena said wisely. "I got to spend it with a real friend." Chloe wrapped her in a careful hug. "Can I sit with you at lunch on Monday?" "Yes." Elena's whole face glowed. "And maybe you can come over soon. We have a pool with a special lift my dad put in, but it's no fun alone." Chloe's eyes lit up. "It'll be super fun together." As they reached the door, Richard called out, "Wait, I never properly thanked you. For coming in, for staying." David turned. "We should be thanking you. Not everyone opens their private party to strangers." "You weren't strangers," Richard replied, the truth settling deep in his chest. "You were exactly who we needed." 3 months later, golden autumn lights spilled across the backyard of the Chen home. Richard stood at the window of his office, coffee in hand, watching Elena float on a bright raft in the pool while Chloe swam playful circles around her, both shrieking with laughter. The wheelchair waited patiently by the edge, no longer a symbol of isolation, but simply a tool. David stepped up beside him, offering a second mug. The two men had become steady friends, sharing barbecues, late-night talks, the quiet understanding of single fathers doing their best. "Chloe asked me yesterday why Elena's dad used to look so sad but doesn't anymore," David said. "What did you tell her?" "That sometimes grown-ups forget what really matters. You can chase success until the world spins, but without people to share it, it's empty." Richard nodded slowly. In the past months, he'd changed his routine, leaving the office at 5, family dinners every night, bedtime stories, weekend adventures. Board members had raised eyebrows. Stock prices had mysteriously climbed anyway. Turns out rested, present decisions beat exhausted ones. I spent years trying to give Elena everything money could buy, he said quietly. I never saw that all she wanted was someone to see her. Just her. Not the chair. Not the story. Just Elena. Chloe's good at seeing people, David replied with a fond smile. Last week, she invited a boy with autism to the park. His mom cried, said it was his first playdate invite ever. She gets that from you. Maybe. Or maybe kids are just better at being human than we are. They watched as Chloe helped Elena back into her chair, both still giggling over some secret joke. Elena's face shone, alive, joyful, connected in a way it hadn't been since before the accident. Thank you, Richard said, voice thick. For walking through that door. For staying. For reminding me what I'd lost. David clapped him gently on the shoulder. Thank you for letting us in. For giving Chloe her first real best friend here. For giving me someone who gets it. The late nights, the worry, the love that outweighs everything else. They stood in peaceful silence, two fathers watching their daughters dream up their next big adventure. Sometimes the greatest gifts arrive uninvited, drenched in rain, wearing patched jackets and hopeful smiles. Sometimes they ask one simple, brave question, can I join you? And in that single act of kindness, of truly seeing another person, lives change forever. Friendship, real and unfiltered, is worth more than empires, more than gold-frosted cakes, more than anything money can ever touch. If this heartwarming story touched you, hit that like button, drop a comment telling me your favorite part, and subscribe to Midnight Tales for more emotional, uplifting stories that remind us what truly matters in life. New tale drops every week. Don't miss the next one. See you soon.